Hey guys, it's Monday morning and we're in the studio, and in a moment we're gonna drive to CameraNu.nl to actually pick up our Wacom Cintiq. Now, for years I've been retouching on the Wacom into a series, even the bamboo, that's where I started. And the fun thing is, it's way faster than using a mouse or a trackpad, well, in my personal opinion. So why a Cintiq? Well, over the years I've done a lot of model photography and street photography, and I absolutely love it. But I want to do a little bit more. I want to start drawing, which I actually already do on my iPad Pro. And of course, I want to start doing a little bit more compositing, as I already showed you online a few weeks ago. For that, the Cintiq is way better, because now you don't need that eye and hand coordination, which is a little bit more difficult for me personally on the Intuos series. Now, a lot of people will make great art on an Intuos series, don't get me wrong. I even see people doing finger paintings on their iPhones, which are way better than I can draw. But for me, I really like that direct interaction with my surface, so in this case with the Cintiq. The only problem is we need to change the whole layout of our desk, because the 27-inch Cintiq, it's a big boy. And of course I also want to keep using my monitors. So let's take a look at my setup now. Then we're going to pick up the Cintiq and we're actually going to make a totally new setup. And I'm actually also going to film a quite frankly tip about something in Photoshop that's really cool. And there's Anouk. Hello Anouk, how are you? She's getting some cables because my battery is almost dead. So we're going to charge that before we go. Okay, so this is my current setup where I use 3 monitors. Now, one is of course the BenQ. This is the one where I do all my editing on. It's great for color, it's very sharp, and it's a great monitor. So that's the BenQ, that's my main monitor. Then I have a cheaper BenQ over there, which is actually for social media and my email. And on top we have a smaller monitor, which is used for, well, watching some Discovery, TLC, National Geographic, that kind of stuff, because I love to do that stuff during editing. The problem is the 27-inch Cintiq will be here, and it will be flat. So the BenQ will actually be behind it to do the serious color checking. And I'm going to show you a tip for that in a video I'm going to record for Quite Frankly. So I think we have to start by removing all these monitors and then placing them back when we install the Cintiq. Oh man, this is gonna be very difficult because I'm so accustomed to this setup. But you know what, change can be good. Okay, we arrived at CameraNu for our meeting with Wacom.
Signing the contract.
As a Wacom ambassador. Hey guys, so we just signed a contract with Wacom and I'm now at the Experience Center at CameraNu, and they were actually the first Experience Center for photography. And let's see at all the different products they have here from Wacom. Okay, so they have the 22-inch here, and of course the 13-inch, which is great, very good in pricing and really good to start with, also for travel. Here you have the companion, running Windows, of course, where you can do everything on screen, and you have your own computer with you, so you don't have to do everything connected to a computer. Great for traveling photographers. Here we have the Bamboo Spark, really cool product. You draw on paper and it actually digitizes. It's very nice. This is the version I'm actually bringing home, the 27-inch, and of course where I worked up for years, the Wacom Intuos series. And here we have the smaller one. So if you're starting out, this is really good. If you don't know anything about tablets and you're still retouching with your mouse or trackpad, try one of these. They're very reasonably priced, and I guarantee you will never want to do anything else. So that's the Wacom Experience Center at CameraNu. Now let's pick up our Cintiq and go home. Okay, Anouk is bringing in the Wacom. They had to put it in a flight case because it's one of the demo units. So it's very heavy. So we used our Anouk's van to get it. So there we have the flight case, Anouk. I think we need to both carry it, right?
Yeah, it's
yeah,
heavy.
It's very heavy. So stop the film. Okay, we're back in the studio and we installed the Cintiq. Now we still have to change a little bit about the desk, but I think we've got a pretty neat setup now. So I'm going to show you how we installed the Cintiq for my new workflow. Okay, so when retouching I will be using of course the Cintiq, and because I love the color accuracy of the BenQ is right behind it doing all my critical color work. So I will be retouching here and checking everything on the BenQ. And the second BenQ is still there for watching some TV during retouching. So what do we have to do now? We have to calibrate of course the Cintiq, because the Cintiq is just a normal display. Now for the calibration I use an x-rite Color Monkey Photo, which I think is a great analyzer. It's a spectrometer, so it gives you a really good readout. So it's now calibrating the Cintiq, and after that of course I will also calibrate the BenQ to make sure that they're both fresh again. And you have to do this about once every week, or I always tell people before every important assignment. So calibration, very important. And remember, if you have a 3 stimulus meter, like for example the Spiders or the cheaper x-rites, that you have to replace those analyzers at least every 2 years, because they deteriorate and at that time they're not as accurate anymore. If you get a spectrometer, you can actually get them calibrated again by, for example, x-rite. So calibration, very important, because then you know that your images look the way that you intended them to be. Now what we still have to change in this setup is actually the BenQ is now straight behind the Cintiq. And I want to be able to also type with the keyboard, and the keyboard is now, you can't see that, but it's now under the Cintiq. So what I want to do is, if I'm not retouching, I want to push the Cintiq back underneath the BenQ. So I can use the BenQ as my main monitor. So we're gonna make a little, how do you call it, raised area here, where we can actually lift up the BenQ so the Cintiq can squeeze under when I'm not using it to retouch. So we have to go to the do-it-yourself store in a moment to get some of the parts, and then we're gonna put that together, and I think then the setup is pretty perfect. So I'm gonna try some retouching today, of course. Okay, so after calibrating the Cintiq, we're now calibrating the BenQ. Now the BenQ uses hardware calibration. This means it dives directly into the monitor for the calibration. This is something that's very important when you do calibrations, because it's always better to do it in the monitor than via software. And some monitors support this, some don't. But if you buy a new monitor, make sure that you have a monitor that has the so-called hardware calibration. Like in this case, the BenQ 2700. So the BenQ will be used for critical color management, and on the Cintiq we're gonna retouch. So in a moment I'm gonna set everything up for the first time, like Lightroom and Photoshop, and I'm gonna show you my settings for that also, of course. So see you in a moment. Well, for you guys it will actually be a few seconds. For me, I have to wait until the calibration is done. Okay, so this is the setup for Lightroom. I'm using my BenQ as a second monitor and the Cintiq to retouch. Now this looks really cool because on top I can actually do my critical retouching, and here I can work on the screen, and I have to be honest with you guys, I'm already totally hooked. This is really cool. So now I have to set up Photoshop, and then I'm ready to do some retouching on the series from the UK with Nadine. The cool thing about this setup is I now have here my 100% view, so I can check my focus on the eyes of the model, and up here I can see the total image. Now this doesn't sound like a big difference, but trust me it is, because often I have to check if the eyes are in focus and if my focus is totally critical. But I also want to see my composition, so normally I would go into a picture like this. Okay, I like the composition, let's check the focus. Yeah, the focus is okay. And continue. Now I can just leave this monitor, my Cintiq, on 100%. On 100% view, so I see all the details. And the top one, I can see my composition. So this saves a lot of time during the photo selection, which already is pretty fast, but it now goes even faster. And I love it when stuff goes faster, because that saves time. On the remote control there's a lot of different options online. I still have to get used to it, so I won't say anything yet about if I like it or not. What I do like about it is you can of course create custom keys. Now I just was in Lightroom and I created actually this key as my command E, meaning if I press this key it will automatically open up my file in Photoshop, as you can see here. Now in Photoshop you see the same thing. Here you see the image, and up there you see the original image too. And in Photoshop there's a very simple option, and it's actually under your window, where you can create under arrange, you can create a new window for something. So you can really easily make your second monitor your preview monitor, and on this one you can just retouch and it will automatically update the second monitor. I will be filming a quite frankly tip about this, so watch out for that one. Okay, this is the Capture One setup where I'm actually using an option called Viewer to get the preview on the BenQ, and everything else is here on the Cintiq, so I can do my focus check, and up there I can actually have the preview. Now if I go to another image, it will change on both monitors. So also Capture One is suitable for 2 monitors, of course. And in Capture One I actually programmed this key as a Command D, because in Capture One Command D actually goes straight into Photoshop. So in Lightroom it's Command E, in Capture One it's Command D. And because you can, in the software from the remote, you can actually set it per application. So that's very handy from Wacom. You can program it for Lightroom to be a different keystroke than in Capture One and of course in Photoshop. So up until now, really love the remote control. And of course you could do the same thing with the express keys, but the fun thing is this, you can just move around, and it's now charging, so normally it's without cable, of course. Okay, now this is the first time I actually use the Cintiq for something that's a little bit more difficult than just retouching. And this is day 1, remember, so I still have to get used to it, but this is just very, very amazing. Now, normally with the Intuos, I could do something like this. You see here is a whole piece missing, and I could get it around here pretty well with some selections. But you always needed that eye-hand coordination. Now with the Cintiq it's so much easier. I did this in just under 2 minutes, and that speeds up the workflow very, very much, because now you can actually go really fine in here when you go into 100%. So now if you think the Cintiq is only for people that draw or do compositing, as you can see here, just extending the background like this, way more easier, way faster. So I'm very enthusiastic about that. So, and again, this is day 1, so I still have to get used to the Cintiq, and I'm already very, very happy with it.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm building the plateau for the BenQ. So actually the Wacom can slide under the BenQ, so the BenQ is actually erased a little bit, so we can still use the BenQ as our main color calibration, or sorry, as our color reference monitor, and the Cintiq actually slides under, so I have a lot of room more on my desk, because in all honesty it's a big boy, so we have to slide it under, otherwise I don't have enough room. So this is something like do it yourself, and I hope I don't kill myself, because I'm not a technical guy. Give me a computer and everything goes okay. If I have to do this, I really suck at this.
Don't screw holes in my table, Frank, please.
I'll do my best in a week, but I can give no promises because I am not a do-it-yourself guy. These are the moments where you hope you don't get a blooper tape. But knowing me, you never know. Okay, so let's first take the webcam off. And let's lift up the BenQ.
11 kilos.
Yeah, it's a high quality monitor, so it's very heavy. And
Or it's stuck.
Something's stuck. Okay, so let's see what's stuck.
Didn't your mother tell you to shut things down before you move it?
No. That's one part of my upbringing that was never included. Changing monitors. Oh, there we go. Okay. Succeeded. Now I feel like a really big man.
For now.
Okay, so let's move this a little bit to the front. And make sure it doesn't fall down.
It's still heavy.
It's still very heavy. This will be okay. So now we have to place this one on top. And move it all the way to the back. And not too far, of course. I think when somebody's cleaning here, one day it will fall down. So we have to figure something out. So we're going to make something in the back, which is standing upside, so it can't move too far to the back.
Why don't you pull the monitor forward? You have enough space.
Yeah, the problem is if I pull the monitor forward, then it will fall off very quickly, because the feet over here, if it goes over the edge, I'm in trouble. So there we go.
So you should have mounted the feet differently.
No. And if I'm correct now, the Cintiq will fit very nicely like a glove.
Wow.
It works. That's awesome. So now we can actually place our keyboard in front. If we just raise the Cintiq a little bit. There we go. Well, we still need a little bit of work to do here.
Your ergo therapist isn't happy with that.
No, but we'll see. We'll get it working. Okay. And success. The keyboard still fits in front, the Cintiq and the BenQ. And it's literally, it fits like a glove. So this works. The only thing we now have to do is make sure that this little table doesn't fall over, because this is a disaster waiting to happen. So Anouk is now looking for some barriers which we can put on the table, so it makes sure that it won't fall over. So in a moment we're not only retouchers and photographers, we're also do-it-yourselfers. Okay, some higher management decisions were made. Actually, Anouk and I looked at the situation and we decided to make a deeper shelf. Instead of fixing it, well, the do-it-yourself and probably not that good way, if we take just a slightly deeper shelf, it will actually hit the wall and then it can never fall off again. So, because this I don't trust. It just, well, if I do it, it's okay, but if somebody else puts the Cintiq back, they will probably hit it and everything will fall down. So tomorrow we're gonna create a slightly deeper shelf, and then I'm done with my new improved desk. And I absolutely love it. I did some retouching today and it really goes a lot faster than before. So the Cintiq will now go to sleep together with the BenQ and the other BenQ and a Mac Pro. And tomorrow we'll do another vlog, because tomorrow we also have an interesting day. Okay guys, so I'm home and let's just discuss my first opinion of the Cintiq. Now I knew that it would be a totally different workflow, because I already worked a few times on a Cintiq from friends of mine, and I have to be honest, on the older ones I didn't like the lag. So when you draw something, it will actually come later. Now with this 27-inch, no problem at all. Also with the 13-inch and the 22 we tried at CameraNu, they're really fast, so there's no lag anymore. The other thing that really struck me as surprising was how faster I can work on the Cintiq instead of the Intuos. So if I have to dive into details, for example for skin cloning and healing, or like I did in the video, I had to clone a part around Nadine's fingers, it just goes way easier on the Cintiq. You zoom in and it's just amazing. It works really well. So I'm very happy with the switch to the Cintiq from the Intuos, and I really can advise you guys to check one out. Because I think whatever photography you do, you always want to be faster and more accurate. And the Cintiq really does that for you. So tomorrow we do another vlog. And for today, thank you so very much for watching. And remember, support us on Patreon. Thank you so very much and see you tomorrow.